There's a new documentary that is all about the dark side of Hollywood and how some power players allegedly use their positions to prey on young, aspiring actors.
What are your thoughts on child acting?
I think that the environment needs to be made safer. Now, looking back on some of the clips, I'm like, that's, damn, like, really?
Yeah. Have you ever tried to get your whole big toe in your mouth? Check this out.
I think we're reprocessing our relationship to it a little bit now. The rest of it is still being worked.
The Los Angeles County District Attorney created a special task force to investigate allegations of sexual abuse in Hollywood. The team will look into accusations against film producer Harvey Weinstein, director James Toback, actor Ed Westwick, and others.
The world of entertainment has long been surrounded by secrets and unspoken truths, especially when it comes to the treatment of child actors. Recently, a wave of courageous young stars has begun to speak out, shedding light on the darker side of Hollywood. These child actors are exposing their experiences with celebrity predators, individuals in positions of power who took advantage of their vulnerability for personal gain. In a groundbreaking 20-minute exposé, these brave voices share their stories, bringing awareness to the systemic misconduct that has long been ignored by the industry. This revelation marks a pivotal moment in the fight for greater accountability and safety for young performers in an environment that has often turned a blind eye to their suffering.
An agent who can control their career and put them into auditions. And so the agent's spending time alone with the child. They're able to sort of, unfortunately, get them away from parental supervision. And then they take advantage of these kids. And it's more common, I think, than we can even imagine.
But it doesn't take a lot of digging to find even more examples of how it often has selective amnesia when it comes to some of the past behaviour of those it chooses to welcome into the fold.
If we look historically at what's been going on, I mean, how long ago was it that Mel Gibson was completely derided in this town and is now being lauded for his work? And we've seen it, we've seen these scandals for Roman Polanski and for Woody Allen. We've seen these scandals become very public. And then a few years passes and they're being given money for more projects.
Good morning. The Los Angeles County District Attorney Jackie Lacey says her task force will work in coordination with the LAPD and Beverly Hills Police Department. Now, the task force will be specially trained deputy district attorneys and veteran sex crimes prosecutors. They're going to work together, she says, to ensure a uniformed approach to the legal review. Nearly 70 women have now come forward with allegations against Harvey Weinstein, who, as you guys know, is also being investigated by New York City prosecutors.
We went to the park and we played basketball. So it was that night he touched me. At 11, I didn't know it was improper. It just didn't make any sense to me.
But Evan may not be the only one. The manager also allegedly abused the late Corey Haim and Corey Feldman.
Corey Feldman, a former child star and an outspoken advocate for protecting young actors from misconduct within the entertainment industry, has often made headlines for his claims about Hollywood's dark underbelly. Feldman has spent years discussing alleged misconduct he and other young actors faced in Hollywood, pointing fingers at powerful people who, he claims, continue to mistreat young artists. Among the names that frequently come up in discussions about the entertainment industry's hidden practices is Diddy. In recent times, allegations against Diddy have gained traction, with Corey Feldman reportedly alluding to Diddy's potential involvement in what he describes as a network of elites who hold immense power in Hollywood.
Freeze. You're in shock. I mean, children aren't supposed to handle that sort of stuff. I can tell you that the #1 problem in Hollywood was and is and always will be pedophilia.
Nobody talks about pedophilia.
It's the big secret.
And it's widespread?
Oh yeah. I was surrounded by them.
Actor and 80s icon Corey Feldman took to social media to celebrate the arrest of the man he said sexually abused him in his teens. Cloyd John Grissom was the man Feldman publicly named for the first time on the Dr. Oz show in 2017. He even filed a police report for the abuse on camera. Grissom was in his 20s when he became 15-year-old Feldman's assistant. Corey posted Grissom's mugshot to social media and in the caption wrote that Grissom drugged and molested him from ages 15 to 17 and that Grissom was the man Corey talked about in his book and documentary.
Corey Feldman was a prominent child actor in the 1980s, gaining fame for his roles in iconic films such as The Goonies, 1985, Stand By Me, 1986, and The Lost Boys, 1987. These films cemented his place as a recognizable face in Hollywood, and he became part of the Two Coreys phenomenon alongside Corey Haim. Their collaborations and personal struggles highlighted both the appeal and the darker side of fame for young actors in Hollywood.
Back in the 80s, Corey Feldman and Corey Haim were referred to as two of the biggest heartthrobs of the 80s, but by the 90s and 2000s, they were just referred to as washed-up child stars. So what happened? The first movie that these two starred in together was The Lost Boys, and after that they were barely seen without each other on and off screen, and were just simply referred to as the Coreys. Corey Haim had a super promising future. The most credited movie critic Roger Ebert said if he can continue to act this well, he will never become a half-forgotten child star, but will continue to grow into an important actor, which is sad to read knowing what happened in his life. And while it seemed like these two guys had it all, the fame, the money, the girls, behind the scenes was a different story. Both had gotten into drugs and alcohol and developed addictions. Corey Feldman spoke out just a few years ago that at the time he was abused by his mom, and he and Corey were both sexually assaulted by several men in the industry.
I'm saying that there are people that were the people that did this to both me and Corey that are still working, they're still out there, and they're some of the richest, most powerful people in this business.
And they are
And they do not want me saying what I'm saying right now.
Are you saying that they're pedophiles?
Yes.
And that they're still in this business?
Yes.
Grissom was not arrested for the alleged crimes he committed against Corey, and it's not clear exactly what his charges are, but he has eluded capture for years, fleeing to Canada and to Mexico. Grissom finally returned to the U.S. and was arrested. He's being held in an Arizona detention center without bail. Corey Feldman has been outspoken for years about sexual abuse and pedophilia in Hollywood and has several supporters.
In his memoir, Growing Up Urkel, Jaleel White opens up about his experiences as a child actor and how he was exposed to the darker side of Hollywood. He discusses how he was fortunate to have a protective mother who managed his career and kept him grounded. However, he also witnessed how other child actors were misconducted and left vulnerable by their parents, who prioritized their own fame over their children's well-being.
I remember when I did Murder Lurkle for the first time.
Well, hello there.
And I just remember, again, I get a lot of my enthusiasm from other people's satisfaction. Everybody on set that week was just amazed. I did run into an issue. Joe Marie and Reggie at that time were very sensitive to putting black men in dresses. And they heaped that on me. And they let me know that I was not doing our race a service.
White compares the mistreatment of child actors to the Me Too movement, highlighting the need for greater awareness and protection for young performers. His memoir provides a candid look at the challenges and dangers he faced in the industry, and he emphasizes the importance of having responsible and vigilant parents.
By putting on that yellow dress. But everybody has a default. Do you crumble? Do you wilt under pressure? Do you rise? Do you surprise yourself? My default tends to be to take it up a notch. I mean, that evening I felt like a girl. I felt like a girl playing Murder Lurkle. But I cried like a baby at the end of that taping. I just broke. And I just cried. And this is what's awesome, where you have a great father, you have a good family. And my dad just rose up like a lion and was like, I've watched my son deal with this all week to pull out this performance.
Drake Bell, known for his role in Drake and Josh, has opened up about the darker side of his experiences as a child actor. He has been vocal about the misconduct he faced in the entertainment industry. Bell's revelations have shed light on a troubling aspect of Hollywood that often goes unnoticed.
The show that he was given, Drake and Josh, was not a gift from the network because of what he went through with Brian Peck. Actually, Brian Peck wanted to be the father figure on the show, in the series, and Drake was adamantly against that. He did not want this man to be around him any more than he had to be. So the network wasn't fully aware, I guess, of what, you know, Brian Peck was up to by the time this show was already bought and approved. So no, it wasn't a gift from the network. And then 2, Drake had his own criminal, you know, situation a few years ago, and we talked about it on this channel, and he is not, I believe, on the SO list, like the offender list.
You know, I'm sure that my dad, I'm gonna start crying. I'm sure my dad has a lot of, puts a lot of blame on himself, you know, and I thought that this might be an opportunity for him to be able to realize that, you know, that it's not, it's one person's fault.
Drake Bell went from being a celebrity to someone put on probation for endangering a minor, but now he's come out revealing he was abused when he was a teenager. And Drake Bell, at the age of 13 in 1999, was hired by Dan Schneider to join The Amanda Show. Dan Schneider has some pretty creepy accusations against him, with one example being Jeanette McCurdy, who said when she was 15 years old, he made her wear a bikini and took photos of her while she was drunk. He also tried to get Amanda Bynes to move into his house while she was a teenager because she was trying to emancipate herself from her parents. Now Drake Bell has revealed that under Dan Schneider's leadership, he was a victim of molestation while he was working for Nickelodeon. And the person who did it was Brian Peck, no relation to Josh, and he was hired by Nickelodeon to be one of Drake Bell's coaches, but molested Drake Bell at his home. And Brian Peck was convicted of doing this in 2003 and fired from Nickelodeon. What makes it worse is after he was fired by Nickelodeon, Disney hired him to work on the set of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody in 2006. Some are saying Drake Bell is only coming out saying this to try and get some defense because he is accused of abusing his former girlfriend Melissa Lingofeld. While he has likely done some bad things, this is all documented with Brian Peck, so he is telling the truth. This shows a very dark side of media. With that, I'm Charles Pearl. Subscribe to learn something.
In his interview for the documentary series Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, Bell shared that he was misconducted by his acting and dialogue coach, Brian Peck, when he was just 15 years old. This mistreatment had a profound impact on him, and Peck was later convicted of misconduct in 2004.
Kyle Sullivan, drop your pants.
Everyone went to Brian's house, and his house was a little off. I noticed a painting in the room of a birthday clown holding balloons. It said, "To Brian, I hope you enjoy the painting. Best wishes, your friend, John Wayne Gacy." He kept, like, this pile of letters and photos from John Wayne Gacy in his nightstand next to his bed.
His victims have a safe place to come forward and to share their stories in this documentary. Before we get into some of the updates, I want to give you guys a statement from Dan Schneider. He says, "Everything that happened on the shows I ran was carefully scrutinized by dozens of involved adults." Well then, name them. All stories, dialogue, costumes, and makeup were fully approved by network executives on 2 coasts. Okay. I guess on the East Coast and the West Coast, I don't know why that's relevant. A standards and practicing group read and ultimately approved every script, and programming executives reviewed and approved all episodes. I mean, like, you know, TV typically goes. In addition, every day on set, there were always parents and caregivers and their friends watching us rehearse and film.
Bell's story highlights the vulnerabilities that child actors face and the need for stronger protections and support systems within the industry.
He has had a wild ride since his Nickelodeon days. He's really struggled. He's made some mistakes, got in trouble with the law, tried to reboot his career, etc., kind of got kicked out of, you know, American pop culture, and now is like a huge megastar in Mexico. Just very weird. But I think in a lot of ways, Drake Bell has represented the way that these kids networks take advantage and exploit young actors and then leave them flailing when they're done with them, literally chewing them up and spitting them out.
Drew Barrymore's childhood in Hollywood was fraught with heavy substance misuse and drinking, which she has openly discussed in her memoir, Little Girl Lost. Starting her career at just 6 years old, Barrymore was thrust into the public eye and faced significant emotional struggles, eventually leading to her well-documented battle with addiction at a young age. She has since become an advocate for mental health awareness and the importance of healing from childhood trauma.
When you talked about your mom, you said 0 protection,
zero consistency.
Yeah.
And that's a haunting sentence.
Yeah, and I hope, that she knows when she reads it, because we've talked about, the book, and she's going to read it. But I think she'll understand, and, she'll read in the next sentence that I give her a compliment. But yeah, our lifestyle together was not traditional. So, putting it mildly. Like, walking away from my mom and shaking hands and saying we need to emancipate, those were just the facts. That was where our journey had led us to, and we were actually okay with that. That's where we needed to go at that point.
What is up, legendaries? It is Amina Lee. So in today's video, I'm going to take you guys through a mini breakdown of Drew Barrymore's childhood. So the Barrymore family of actors includes Drew's father, John Drew Barrymore, his siblings, and of course Drew. So due to her being a part of a powerful, talented family, girl was getting booked left and right. So while being the epitome of a child actress, her roles included Firestarter and E.T., which is actually the most popular film of the 80s. So there was a time where Drew's father left and her mother was in control of everything. And everything kind of went downhill. She was partying at a Studio 54 at 9 years old, which is crazy because my grandmother used to party there. Anyways. I was going to clubs and not going to school, and I was stealing my mom's car, and I was out of control. So this led to Drew spending 18 months in a psychiatric ward. Then she did become independent at the age of 14 years old. And of course, Drew started over and reclaimed her power. I met her a couple years back, the most nicest and loving person. You can always overcome your obstacles, and Drew is an example of that.
Macaulay Culkin's early career, marked by his iconic role as Kevin McAllister in the Home Alone films, was a whirlwind of fame and success. But it came with a significant emotional toll that he did not openly discuss for many years. When he became one of the most famous child stars of the early 90s, Culkin was thrust into the public eye at a time when he was still just a child, making it difficult for him to navigate the complexities of fame and personal growth.
His father was a nasty man who dictated his career. Macaulay wanted nothing more but to escape his father, but he was forced to work on set and pay for their family. He eventually cut ties with his family until his sister Dakota was tragically killed, and his girlfriend Mila Kunis of 7 years cheated on him at his lowest moment. I feel like nowadays we're finally starting to realize that these children go through trauma behind the scenes and on set as, kids growing up in this industry.
In a 2004 interview with Vanity Fair, Culkin revealed that much of the emotional strain he experienced during his rise to fame was tied to his parents' bitter custody battle over him. His parents, who were both deeply involved in managing his career, were embroiled in a tumultuous divorce, which created a highly unstable environment for Culkin. The conflict between his mother and father made it difficult for him to have a sense of normalcy during a time when his career was skyrocketing. The legal battle over his custody compounded the stress he was already facing from the pressures of being a child star.
As I said earlier, his family is involved in the industry in some way. I mean, his dad did a little bit of acting, but he had an embarrassing moment and ended up giving it up.
Doing King Lear off Broadway.
Right.
He's playing Gloucester. Way off Broadway. He's playing Gloucester, and Gloucester gets his eyes poked out.
Yeah.
So he is so into his part, he closes his eyes. And so he's doing the soliloquy, and he's getting closer and closer to the edge of the stage.
Yeah.
And he doesn't notice because he's so into the part, because he's blind. And then he spills into the first row.
Yeah.
And hurts himself. This is opening night.
Yeah.
And injures himself and can't do the rest of the run of the whole show. And apparently that was like the last acting gig he ever did, because it was quite embarrassing.
Did you have any say in whether or not you worked when you were young?
Not really. No.
Yeah.
Like, it was, after a while, it became, like I said, a job, and it was, I never chose the projects. They were, like, my parents, like, essentially, like, chose them for me.
So they were like, good news, Macaulay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they called me Macaulay.
You're gonna buy us a new house.
yeah, there you go, And, like, I never read any of the scripts. Like, I would just read, like, the lines for, like, the next day or whatever. Like, I would, like, get the gist of what the movie was about, but then I just kind of show up and hit my marks, find my light, and recite my lines.
What do you think about the stories of child actors exposing the darker side of the entertainment industry? Drop a comment below.